This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you are listening to Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. All right, John, week one of college football is in the books. Some good news for Spartan fans. Well, it depends on how you look at it, but a win's a win.
Yeah, I want to know, I guess.
Not so great news for Purdue fans, and it was painful to watch. What made it worse was I upgraded my cable package to get the game. And it was starting off so well. I was super excited. And then just as the game went on and it got later into the night, it just kept getting worse and worse.
On the CBS Sports Network?
Yep. I thought we had it, but I guess we didn't. So
I have it. I think that was like the third time I've ever put it on. I think I've had to like use it for like random Michigan State basketball games, but never a football game.
Yeah. So it just kept getting worse and worse, and it was not pretty. So I'm not too happy about it because it's definitely a game that Purdue should have probably run away with. But we'll dive in. We'll start with the good.
Yeah,
we'll start with the good.
Give me a little shout out too. I was pretty close to score with that one.
Yes, you were. John was.
I didn't think that was what was going to happen, but I thought it was going to be back and forth, and I was like, man, watching the game, I think it was 24-7 at halftime.
Yes.
And I was like, all right, well, I think at that point it was probably like close to midnight. I'm like, yeah, I could probably go to bed. Purdue's got this. I wake up and have a couple text messages, and I Googled it, and I was like, well, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
right.
Not great. Great.
Let's start with the good, though, like you said. Go ahead and get rolling.
So going into the game, there's a lot of eyes on the freshmen. George Karlaftis starting, David Bell, Milton Wright, Jalen Graham. So a lot of anticipation, obviously a top 25 recruiting class, Brom's third year. Everyone's really geared up, ready to go with this game. And it started off, the first half, I'm not going to say was exactly pretty, but it was good. Purdue gets the ball first, 12-play drive, 70 yards, Bryson Hopkins, 2-yard touchdown. Everything's kind of looking good. You had the ball for 5 minutes. Nevada goes 3 and out. So the defense looks sharp. They look keyed in. You're making that redshirt freshman uncomfortable. He hasn't played football since his junior year. Would have liked to just continue to see the offense roll, but understanding Nevada's defense kind of settling in a little bit. Purdue's trying to do some things. So kind of had some punt fests a little bit. And Purdue kicked a field goal. And after Nevada was driving and punted again, Purdue was in the driver's seat, looked good. I can't knock it. I can't really knock this turnover, to be honest. It was, I believe, the freshman Milton Wright, one of the easy curl routes. He covers up with 2 hands, just like you're taught to do. He gets hit, he gets stood up, and Nevada defender, I think he's a junior, strips it out. I mean, really tough, obviously. Can't have that, but it's really, he did his job. He wasn't trying to be crazy or spectacular, but nothing came of that. So that's probably the one turnover, and we'll talk about the turnovers later, but it didn't kill Purdue's momentum. Nevada did end up scoring to make it 10-7, but then Purdue scored 2 times, including a 99-yard touchdown drive before the end of the half to go up 24-7. And Purdue's offense just looked like it was absolutely humming. The play calling was really nice. The routes were good. Elijah Sindelar looked incredibly good. I mean, talk about a quarterback that when he got into trouble, he would just heave it with his arm strength and try and make a play downfield, a 50-50 ball. Didn't see a lot of that in the first half. He was, he would get chased, he would get hit, but he would look for his dump-off man, and it paid off a lot. He threw the ball away. He threw it out of reach. He was being really, really smart with the ball, and it really paid off because he didn't have any interceptions. He had 3 touchdown passes and just under 300 yards at halftime. So, or excuse me, I think he had 4 actually. But so just a lot of positive things out of your quarterback. Your line, obviously it's Nevada, but 5 or really 3 new starters compared with 2 stars kind of banged up. First time gelling together. They played well enough for Purdue to win the game. I'll quote Jeff Brom on that. They gave the team a chance to win, and the defense was just incredible. Karlaftis got, I guess, his first sack. It was a half sack. Him and Derek Barnes just met at the quarterback. They went wide on their tackles. They drove him in. Pocket collapsed, and they basically sandwiched Carson Strong, the Nevada quarterback, and Karlaftis picked up his first sack technically. He was a beast. He was giving trouble to the left and right tackles. I mean, Karlaftis throughout the game was just a force to be reckoned with. And the same thing with Derek Barnes. And I think those two are going to be incredible pass rushers for this team moving forward, especially as Karlaftis gets a feel for how everything is going to go. Obviously, we'll see with some bigger offensive linemen, with Vanderbilt, with TCU, and the Big Ten schedule. But from what you saw game 1, it looks great. He is as advertised. Jalen Graham was the highest PFF Pro Football Focus player rated on Purdue's defense. He was all over the field making tackles. I mean, 24-7, John, you're going into halftime. You're outgaining your opponent, I think at that time, about 300 some yards to 100. Nevada's offense, this quarterback just cannot get it together. Purdue's in the driver's seat. I think that there could have been some better finishing, but 24-7 at halftime, including a 99-yard touchdown drive, you're feeling pretty good.
What I think Purdue, I didn't watch the whole second half. I kind of watched a little bit, like clips in here and there the next day. But just looking at this, you go up 24-7 at halftime last year. What was your running back's name last year? I loved him, but I can't remember his name.
DJ Knox.
Yeah, you had a guy like DJ Knox you can give the ball to, and it's something I commented on about Purdue last year is Elijah Sindelar, first game, he goes out and throws the ball 52 times. I mean, you're up 24-7 at halftime. You're going to kind of want to see if you can get a push on a Nevada, defensive line in the run game. Horvath had 19 carries for 66 yards, only 3.5, yards per carry. He's really the only back who ran the ball. I think King DeRoe, was he a freshman?
Yes, true freshman.
Cool. I mean, he got in for a carry. Sindelar had 7 carries, but I can't really comment on if it was Horvath or if the O-line, but only 19 carries and 3.5 yards per carry. I would like to see Purdue try to, ground and pound a little bit, even though they do like to spread it out. I mean, you go up on a team like Nevada 24-7, you kind of want to keep the ball away from them because their defense isn't going to win them any games. A team like that, even though their offense isn't, elite, but it's a team that likes to spread you out and hit you with those quick hitters. So that's the first thing that popped out of my mind is Sindelar, who had a good game. I mean, other than the 2 interceptions, I didn't see the interceptions, so I don't know, but 34 for 52, 423, 4 touchdowns. I mean, not a bad debut. Obviously, Rondell Moore was what did he have in the first half?
8 for 108 and a touchdown, I believe, or 111, something like that. He was
pretty much shut down in the second half.
I don't know where he went. He made a big mistake, which we'll get to here in a second, but are actually a couple mistakes in my opinion. And we'll just jump into that actually. You know what? We'll go in. So we had the good. The first half was good. Purdue football looked very sharp. The defense looked good. Offense was humming. I mean, the last play in the half, one of the last plays in the half was a Rondell Moore touchdown pass. It was a go route. Great, pretty good ball. Great catch by Rondell. David Bell looked open too. So, I mean, it just looked terrible for Nevada. You open the second quarter, you force a punt out of Nevada. Purdue gets the ball back, and we start driving down the field. And this is where I think, in my mind, it started to slip away a little bit. Coach Brom, I think, has always said he wants to be aggressive with this team because that's kind of, obviously, it's the nature of him, it's the nature of the staff, it's the nature of the players, it's kind of what they're coached on. They like to be aggressive. Coach Brom likes to be aggressive, and I think he made a conservative call, understandably so in some aspects because of the score. It's 4th and 6 at Nevada's 37-yard line, and you try and pooch punt it, and it goes back for a touchback. So basically, you're netting 17 yards to a Nevada offense that's struggling already. Obviously, you don't want to give them momentum, but they're struggling. They came out after halftime and punted. Purdue's offense at this time is humming. I mean, it's 4th and 6. You're at Nevada's 37. You obviously don't want to try and kick that long field goal. Why not just go for it? Be aggressive. Your offense is right where it needs to be. Just go for it. Elects to punt it. Goes out of the back of the end zone. Okay. Nevada gets the ball back, kind of as predicted. They go 3 and out, and they punt the ball, and this is where we start turning south. It's not Rondell Moore's responsibility to be in charge of the entire punt return team. I absolutely understand that. But as the punt returner on a short kick, on a kick going towards a teammate, you kind of know where you are in the field. Obviously, you're not looking around at everyone, but you need to be, if it's a short kick, you're screaming your head off, short, 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 short. You got to let your guys know that the ball's coming in short so they can kind of clear out of the area. Again, I don't know if that's 100%. In my mind, it's the returner's job to let his guys know that have their back to the ball where it is so it doesn't hit them and force a turnover. It's a short punt. Xander Horvath is out there. It's not his fault. His back is turned. He's trying to block. Obviously, Rondell Moore is electric. It looks like a punt he can return. Xander Horvath runs into Rondell Moore. Because it's a short punt, he's not looking. The ball hits off the crown of his helmet, and Nevada recovers. And that is where the first bad turnover happens of the 5, which were bad. Nevada drives down the field after that turnover and scores a touchdown. So now it's 24-14. Okay. That's okay. You know, Purdue's offense still looks in hand.
I can hear the frustration in your voice.
Well, there's 2 plays. This is the last that we'll see of Purdue's offense being effective. 2 plays. Bryson Hopkins was eating down the seams all game long. I don't know why we stopped doing that. I don't know. You know, Darius Pittman is a good football player, but he's not first-round grade, tight end good. Bryson Hopkins is your guy. Apparently he was throwing up. I don't know if he was sick or whatever, and he couldn't be in the game, but we'll get to that. Bryson Hopkins, it's a 26-yard pass from Sindelar. The next play, it's a flea flicker. David Bell catches his first catch of his college career. It's a 49-yard touchdown pass. 2 plays, 30 seconds. Purdue's back in front. Boom. Lightning fast. So Purdue is just, again, we're in the driver's seat. You got a little nervous with the muff punt. They scored. You're feeling better because we just like you. Jeff Brom was aggressive, and you saw the aggressiveness. 2 plays and a touchdown in 30 seconds. Here comes the second, probably the worst mistake that Rondell will take ownership of. Nevada goes 3 and out again. They don't gain a single yard. They punt the ball away. It's bouncing on the ground. Rondell Moore misjudged it. The Nevada punter was kind of waiting to punt it, so it took a long time. Kick coverage to account for all that. The ball's bouncing on the ground. I'm not saying Rondell Moore can't make this play or is not good enough to do it, but at this point in the game, just let the ball roll, pick it up, and live. He tries to pick the ball up. There's not like an opening. He tries to make something out of nothing. You know, he hasn't touched the ball very much in this half, if at all. I don't think he had at all. He tries to pick the ball up and run with it. It hits off his knee. It's a fumble. Nevada picks up the ball. Now, they don't score a touchdown, but they kick a field goal, and it's enough for Nevada to hang around. It's 31-17 at this point, and I think at that you can just kind of feel Nevada's really sticking around here, and Purdue needs to put their foot down and end the game.
The longer you let a team like that stick around, the worse it could. Like last year, Michigan State, Utah State. Perfect example. Luckily, we escaped that one, but I mean, we got lucky. You let a team that has some talent, or give them some confidence by just kind of let them hang around there. It's a recipe for trouble.
Yeah. So this is where the ugly happens. Ooh. Nevada kicks a field goal. It's still the third quarter. Purdue starts driving the ball again, and there's an interception. And personally, I don't think it's Sindelar's fault. I think you had a true freshman out there that was a little hesitant. It was a catchable pass, but I think he thought someone was behind him. Sindelar was scrambling. He made the right play. His running back was at the sideline. He was trying to dump it off to him, see if he can get some yards. The ball floats a little bit inside. The running back basically watches it go by because he's unsure whether he needs to attack this ball or not, and it gets intercepted. Again, Nevada punts the ball at the start of the fourth quarter, but it's one of those momentum plays. Nevada's defense was getting beat down and to Purdue's will, and you're giving them things to build on. So there's that interception there, and Purdue would not sniff the red zone again. So the following drive is another punt. Nevada goes down, 11 plays, 74-yard drives, 5 minutes off the clock, scores a touchdown. It's 31-24. Purdue gets the ball back, 7 plays, 20 yards, 3:19 off the clock, but we punt. And this is where Nevada takes the ball, goes 87 yards, and scores the game-tying touchdown after what I thought was an interception that would have ended the game. Kenneth Major played incredibly well, in my opinion. I thought it was an interception. They called it an incomplete pass. The next play, they scored a touchdown. It's a tie game. And this is where, I mean, at this point, you watch a 31-14 lead evaporate. Purdue's offense goes from 2 plays, 75 yards in 30 seconds to interception, punt. And you watch Nevada go touchdown. The defense is tired now. But the kicker is you've got an opportunity to go win the game. You got 50 seconds. You got 3 timeouts. You got a Purdue offense that's humming. You got a quarterback that threw 1 interception, which I don't think is his fault. He's thrown for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. The game's in his hands. And he throws an interception. He forced a pass to David Bell into double coverage. And the announcers were horrible all night, but they got some of these last calls correct. And, especially saying Elijah Sindelar had kind of understood what Nevada was running at him. They're trying to force everything inside. They don't want you to get the sideline. So they're playing over the top. The corner is going to play underneath. The safety is going to be over the top. So anything you try and squeeze in, there's going to be met by 2 people. Sindelar tries to make a play out of nothing. Instead of being safe with it, live another down, go to overtime. He forces the ball into David Bell. David Bell gets his hands on it, but gets hit as he's trying to catch it. The ball goes straight up in the air, and it's intercepted. So the nice thing was, or at least you thought, was Nevada had a 15-yard celebration penalty, so they get pushed back. Then they end up getting a delay of game penalty that they get a big completion at first down, and then they get pushed back again 5 yards. They're out of field goal range. There's like 20 seconds on the clock. And this is the other part the announcer got right. You have a redshirt freshman quarterback. Yes, he's on. He's looking for the easy throw. An out route to the short side of the field. You've got safety help over the top. The corner should be all over this guy. Soft coverage. It's probably the easiest 15-yard completion I've ever seen in my entire life from a quarterback that was struggling. They get out of bounds with 3 seconds. They have a second-string true freshman kicker.
Walk-on, too, he was.
Yes, honestly, at this point, I don't know. I understand the icing the kicker part, but this kid has no experience. Just let him kick it. If he makes it off of that, okay. But don't let him get a practice kick in and see what he needs to do. And I think that's part of my problem with icing the kicker. He had showed that he was locked in. He was making field goals. He made some field goals. He made a long extra point. He was doing his job. He doesn't look like he doesn't know what he's doing. He looks comfortable. Let him kick the ball. And sure enough, we try and ice the kicker. He gets a practice kick in, and he misses it. His second opportunity, he drills it. The kid gets a scholarship after the game because he wins it. I'm happy for him, but a gut-wrenching loss for Purdue. And it just so ugly in how it happened. And I mean, really just a really tough game to end to watch year 3 when you're really excited and it's not like the other games where it was back and forth. It was close. Purdue was down. Purdue had a shot. Purdue should have won and it just let it slip away. And that just the consistency issues. I know it's week 1. I'm not trying to hit the panic button right now, but something's got to change here. If this staff wants to be aggressive, then put 70 points up on the team. Don't try and be conservative because it's the right football play. I mean, unless you're up like 56-7, okay, let's talk about not being aggressive. But it's your first game. You got something to prove. You want to be aggressive. Just be aggressive. Your team is humming. Your defense was good. Just be aggressive. I would much rather have lost being over-aggressive than the conservative route that we ended up going that stalled out our own offense and tired out our defense is all I'm saying. So it was ugly. It was a horrible loss. Purdue shouldn't have lost. We're 0-1, and we've got Vanderbilt coming to town. It's our home opener. So we're going to move on. John, unless you got anything to add. You predicted the upset. I mean, you did.
I didn't have really any football reason. Like I said, one, I think it is tricky going out west. Big Ten teams don't generally fare well going out there. And two, I just kind of seen it as a trap game, and I thought they proved me wrong in the first half. They looked, like I said, I watched the first half. They looked phenomenal. I mean, Sindelar was he was clicking in all cylinders. Like, I was thinking to myself, man, if this dude can play, I mean, given it's Nevada's defense, but if he can, get in a rhythm and play like this year, they might be better than the 8-4 and 9-3 that I have them at. And then, like you said, the second half happened. So, obviously, I mean, it's nothing I wouldn't hit a panic button or anything. There's obviously some things to fix for the coaching staff. Rondell Moore made a couple mistakes, like you said. You guys started off rough last year, very rough. So I think there's still a lot to hope for this season. It's the first game of the year. You don't want to start 0-1, but if you go off of my predictions here, which I'm, on our show at least 1 for 1 on pretty much, or 2 for 2, you guys are going to beat Vandy. So let's dive right in.
Yeah, and so SEC comes to town. Obviously, it's Vanderbilt. They're kind of on the bottom end of the SEC, but they made a bowl game, and that means you have to win conference games. So a pretty big accomplishment for Vanderbilt, obviously, in the toughest conference in the U.S., arguably. And I think they do it on the back of a phenomenal running back. He came back. I think he could have been an NFL draft pick. Keyshawn Vaughn, their running back. And then they've got a transfer from Ball State, Riley Neal, who's got some experience. And now, before we say anything, they played Georgia, who we both think will be in the playoff. They have a really good shot at being a favorite. So Georgia won 30-6. I was impressed with Vanderbilt's defense being able to kind of hold off Georgia for the amount they did. They gave up big plays, yes, but we look at some of the blowouts from the big teams across the board, and Georgia's not really a huge blowout. 36 obviously is a big score, but the way they did it was more methodical than just clear, Georgia's better than Vanderbilt. So I thought Vanderbilt did a really good job. Their defense looks like something that can be tough to play against. They've got an experienced quarterback that won't be facing a top defense. Purdue is a little bit untested. They played really well, then they got gassed, and then they didn't play well. They didn't turn the ball over, which I think needs to be an emphasis. But Vanderbilt is a very tough opponent. Now, Purdue is favored to win at home. It's Saturday. It's a noon game. The Tyler Trent gate will be dedicated then. So a lot of emotions kind of going on. And really, Purdue's trying to bounce back. I think really the key is for the Purdue defense is just keep it up. Do what you were doing. Now, I'm interested to hear Kenneth Major didn't finish the game at Nevada. He was arguably Purdue's best corner. I think Coach Brom said there'd be an update by tomorrow on his status. Not really sure if he's going to play or not. Corey Trice has moved to corner that I didn't know. So that's exciting because the guy's a physical freak, and they trust him enough to be out there. So we'll kind of see how that pans out. But it's going to be keying in on the running back. It's Vanderbilt running the ball is going to be a big issue, and then the play action pass off of that. Can Purdue stop the run well enough to contain the Vanderbilt passing game? And honestly, I understand the quarterback's got experience, and I also understand that it was Georgia, but this quarterback just did not look good at all. Didn't give his guys a chance. So if Purdue can do a similar thing, I think they've got a really good shot on defense. I would say if I'm nitpicking, I want to see more finishing at the quarterback. Karlaftis did a great job of getting some hurries, getting some hits. He had chances to get some sacks, couldn't finish. I want to see the finish. I want him to get the finish. I want Derek Barnes to get the finishes. I want this defense to generate the true pressure, and, scrambling hurt Purdue a little bit against Nevada because they couldn't finish. So I want to see that from the defense, but really that's it. I think they played an incredible game. It's really the offense at what needs to change for Purdue. And it's even tough to say that because Purdue's offense played so well until the end of the game where it just sputtered out. And I think it's a two-part thing here. I think as a coaching staff, I think Purdue needs to be aggressive. I think they need to stay aggressive throughout the game unless you absolutely know without a doubt that you're going to win the game. 31-14 is not enough for me. Or clearly it's not enough for Purdue either. I mean, couldn't finish that game out. I think they had an opportunity to make a statement and they didn't. So I think Purdue just needs to be consistently aggressive with the play calling and kind of not get themselves out of a rhythm. I think Rondell Moore needs to get his touches in the second half. Obviously, Purdue did a really good job of getting him the ball. He was an immense impact as a decoy and as a receiving threat, but I don't really know what happened to him in the second half. It's not that Nevada took him away as much as Purdue kind of took him away. So I think Rondell Moore needs to get involved. I think Ahmad Anderson Jr. was great. I think he needs to continue to do what he's doing. I think David Bell and Milton Wright need some more opportunities too. Jared Spark is an immense athlete. He's very talented, but drops are an issue for me, especially when your team kind of needs you. And he's kind of had that bug a little bit, and I haven't really seen the kind of development route-wise that I would have liked to. Again, an immense talent, and he deserves to be a starter, but what else can we do to get open down the field? And Bryson Hopkins honestly, at this point, just can't come off the field ever, unless it's a run play or something. I mean, he is just so special, knows where to find the hole in the middle of the field, and was always open every time he got the ball. So, and really, I think the line's going to kind of be tested here too. It's not Nevada. You got big SEC guys. Even for Vanderbilt, they can recruit big dudes. So it's going to be another test. Can they take another step? Can they get better? At the end of the game, 3-man rushes from Nevada were getting to Sindelar when we were trying to go win the game. Did it contribute to his turnover? I don't know, but you should not kind of have that struggle as an offensive line. So we'll see. I think the offensive line needs to take another step forward, and I think Sindelar just needs to get back to what he was doing for 3.5 quarters of the football game. Be smart, take off some of the throws, put on some of the throws, check it down to your running back, take sacks. I mean, he was really mobile, which I'm happy but nervous about because obviously we know he's a little fragile. But Purdue called a lot of quarterback draws that were immensely effective against Nevada. I don't think they were ready for that. So I think just continuing to put the play calling together for Purdue and to keep this offense moving. And John, I'm with you. I think Xander Horvath deserves to run the football, but he does not have that kind of acceleration, that athleticism, that speed to get some of the extra yards that you're looking for in some of these runs to kind of get the defense really sucked in and attacking downhill, because if they don't, the speedster's going to get loose. I think King DeRoe, he didn't look good in the 2 plays he was in, or rather the 2 plays that were not the flea flicker. The flea flicker, pretty straightforward. He gets a hockey assist there. But I want to see what he's got. He's supposedly the fastest guy in the running back room, one of the fastest guys on the team with the exception of obviously Rondell Moore. I want to see what he can do. Give him an opportunity. I want to see what kind of opportunities he can make for this offense because I think a 1-2 punch of Xander Horvath and King DeRoe will be really good for this offense because Xander Horvath is great at getting those tough yards. He made some really good plays, but you just did not see that kind of burst that you need as an aggressive offense from your running back, especially when your offensive line is struggling to make holes. You need a guy to hit the hole quickly. That's my 2 cents on that. Again, maybe King DeRoe's not ready. I don't know, but I think you need to give him a chance and kind of see what this Purdue offense, what the running backs can come in and do. So I think really a lot of the changes are just on offense. And with that, I think after that horrible loss, this team will be ready to go. Home opener, Tyler Trent, gate dedication. Purdue's going to win. They're going to turn the season. It's funny that I say turn the season around at week 2, but Purdue cannot start 0-3 again.
No.
I just don't think they will survive that, and it's not going to look good for the program when you're trying to build up.
Or me after predicting them to win the Big West. Prove me right, Purdue.
Right. So for John's sake and for every fan's sake, I think Purdue takes this victory. I don't think it's going to be easy. I think it's going to be closer, but
on 28-24, I got you guys winning. It's going to be a gut-wrenching type win. I think one of the running backs is going to have to come up big to kind of grind out that Vandy defense, tire them out a little bit, and let Sindelar kind of open it up. I kind of see maybe a 10-3 deficit in the first half, struggling a little bit against the SEC defense. And then, like I said, I think if you can get a little running game going, I think wears that Vandy defense down a little bit, and Sindelar gets a better read on him, and you guys just open it up in the second half.
Well, that's quite encouraging. So certainly hoping that is the case. I think Purdue wins too.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think running back, maybe DeRoe's not ready yet, but I think with your offensive scheme that you guys have, I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of inside zone type stuff. And people use the term RPO a lot. I don't think a lot of people truly know what that means, but once Sindelar gets comfortable, and the offense gets more comfortable together, you guys have the perfect offense to run stuff like that with a guy like Rondell Moore. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see Brom's a genius as a coach, and especially offensively, as we've seen so far. So kind of excited to see his game plan going into this game against Vanderbilt. And I'm pretty confident you guys get this win, at home. Like you said, a lot of emotion. We all know what happened last time you guys had an emotional home game against Ohio State. So it's not going to be a blowout like that, but I am pretty confident you guys come out with the win.
And I am not as confident, but I'm optimistic that we win.
Well, I think that's the good thing about me and you is, our friend, we call him Cripps. He said he listened to both of our episodes, and he said it's funny how, I'm so high on Purdue, and you're so high on Michigan State, and you're so down on Purdue, and I'm so down on Michigan State. I think me and you are both pretty hard on our own teams, which is good, especially for us having opposing views about each other's teams. It kind of makes it more entertaining to listen to two different views instead of one. So, but I'm definitely a little more optimistic, but you got to be the realistic fan here. So,
well, realistic to a point, because there's certainly things that I nitpick about Purdue, but I have homer picked them in every single football game since last season. So,
amen. Right.
Only to a point am I critical. I'm critical, but then I'm blindly optimistic, and sometimes it pays off. Other times, not so much. So
you rip them apart in this game, and then you're gonna go, all right, we're gonna go 11-0 the rest of the way.
That's right.
Book it.
We still got a shot.
He already bought a ticket to Indy.
There we go. There it is. We're on our way right now. So that's really it. Purdue football coming up this week, Saturday at noon at Ross-Ade Stadium. Big Ten Network's got that game, so make sure to tune in. I'm hoping for it to be a sold-out, packed game. Show those guys the support that we're still behind them, even though the classic Purdue fans came out like, oh boy, here we go again. Although Purdue did blow that game away. But anyway, I digress. quick recruiting notes. The 2020 class for Purdue is basically wrapped up. We're waiting on 2 guys to my knowledge right now, and that's kind of what I'm monitoring. Malik Carr, the 4-star wide receiver out of Michigan, Oak Ridge or something.
Oak Park. He's a lock to Purdue.
John thinks he's a lock to Purdue. I'm pretty optimistic that he's coming as well. Right now, it's between Georgia and Purdue, 2 teams that have been more than willing to let him play basketball during the season as well. He had offers from Auburn, Michigan
State, anywhere you can pretty much name it.
Right, and his top 5 included A&M, Michigan, and Auburn. He's no longer going to Auburn. He's narrowed it down his top 2, Purdue and Georgia, so pretty confident that Purdue is going to be the pick. His official announcement is October 11th. He's coming to town, not this coming weekend, but for the TCU game, as is the next guy, Bryce Austin, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. Purdue's really just been doing really well recruiting out of Michigan. So
yeah, enjoy it. All right, just keep it going.
Similar things. He's got some pretty good offers on the table. Purdue, he has said out loud that Purdue is his top choice right now, and he's doubled down on that statement. Another 95% to Purdue in my mind, but Michigan State is talking to him. I think Penn State's kind of in there. So he's got options, but Purdue is kind of the team to beat at this point. I don't know when he's announcing, but those are the 2 that Purdue has kind of been in a holding pattern for.
I was about 90% sure. Now I'm about 99% sure. Michigan State took another defensive line commit last week. So I think this ship has sailed on Austin for us at least.
Yeah, and it's
I don't see Purdue. He's also said he wants to go out of state. So So I just don't see him not going to Purdue. It seems like they've been the favorite for a while. I think you guys finish it up and wrap it up and get him into Purdue.
That would be a nice polish. Those 2 guys of the class
sure.
Doing really well. It was supposed to be a smaller class, but it's actually just under, the size of last year's class, which was a full 25, I think. So certainly looking to add another top class for Purdue there. But in other non-Purdue news, going around the horn here, we'll start with the Big Ten. Purdue and Northwestern were the only losses, so not a good feeling. Minnesota beat South Dakota State, not by much, 28-21 on Thursday, the 29th. Friday night saw Wisconsin blow out South Florida 49-0. Michigan State beat Tulsa with the minus 73-yard rushing performance by Tulsa against Michigan State's defense. 28-7 was the score there. Rutgers beat UMass 48-21. We know Purdue lost Friday night as well. Maryland 79-0 over Howard. Now, I understand Howard's not a powerhouse, but it's pretty tough to put 79 points on anybody. So I think Mike Loxley from Alabama, he's done pretty good kind of tying up the recruiting class that was playing now. He's an offensive, not mastermind, but he's good on the offensive side of the ball. He had some toys at Alabama. He's got some toys at Maryland, so maybe a little flex there. Nebraska won their game. It was closer, but their defense, I think, had two scores, which was the difference in this game, 35-21. The Illini crushed Akron 42-3. Not that I know much about Akron, so I can't really comment to that, but Illinois kind of doing its thing. Ohio State, number 5 in the country, beat Lane Kiffin's FAU Owls 45-21. Justin Fields looked pretty good, but he was also basically looked like he was playing 7-on-7 out there. FAU's defense was nowhere to be found. He had 5 total touchdowns, including a nice, pretty run for his opening touchdown. Indiana beat Ball State 34-24 in Lucas Oil. I might be a little bit of a hater because it's IU, but kind of a boring game to have in Lucas Oil. just my opinion.
What if it was Purdue and Ball State?
It would probably still be boring, but
at least you're honest.
I would go. I mean, it's Purdue, so I would go. But the last college game outside of the Big Ten championship that was there was, and at least I'm pretty sure, was Purdue and Louisville when Louisville had Lamar Jackson, it was a 7-point game, and Purdue was in it, and that was Brom's first game as coach. So, I mean, that's exciting. But anyway, Penn State threw up on Idaho 79-7.
I love how you said that. Just vomited on them.
So that was ugly for Idaho, who, again, potatoes, they look like a bunch of potatoes out there. The only other loss, 17-7, Stanford Northwestern. Northwestern did not look good. I thought they would look a little bit better. Their offense looked lost. It just looked lost. Their defense couldn't tackle anybody. It was 10-7, and Northwestern had the ball, at least a shot to go down the field and tie or win. And it was strip sack fumble that Stanford recovered in the end zone. 17-7. That's your final there.
Yeah.
So they got a lot of work to do on their end. Michigan beat Middle Tennessee State 40-21, and Iowa took care of business against Miami of Ohio. So all of the ranked Big Ten teams took care of their business. Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, and Nebraska, and Wisconsin are all ranked.
And Michigan State.
And Michigan State. Oh, my gosh. How did I forget that? Jeez,
your Big Ten champs.
Right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams ranked in the Big Ten, which I think that's half the conference, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think there was a few teams that disappointed me that kind of was shocking to me a little bit. Minnesota obviously struggled against South Dakota State. They were my sleeper team to win the Big Ten, but not win it, but you know what I mean. Missed my sleeper in the Big Ten. Michigan struggled. New offense there. Shea Patterson's couple touchdowns he had looked like he was just playing catch. A lot of busted coverage by Middle Tennessee State. That defense of Michigan struggled a little bit. I expect them to go out and Army's a tough game next week for Michigan.
I agree.
But
Army didn't win. The Army won 14-7, but we have to remember the shootout with Oklahoma when Kyler Murray was there. I mean, Army took Oklahoma into overtime.
And this is a Michigan team that lost a lot of talent on defense playing that confusing Army offense. And then going to be a little tough on my boys here. Michigan State, very underwhelming performance. There was 3 total points scored between both teams in the second half. If you are curious to hear a breakdown of Michigan State's offense, you can tune in tomorrow. I'm weirdly optimistic. I literally sent Austin a text saying when he asked me how the offense looked, I'm like, I'm kind of optimistic with a question mark, kind of thinking I'm crazy, but there's reasons to be hopeful with them. Teams that impressed me though real quick was Wisconsin. Honestly shocked me. I mean, South Florida's nothing to write home about, but 49 points for them is a lot, and anytime you shut a team out, I don't care who it is, that's impressive. I mean,
Jonathan Taylor looked really good too.
You look at a bad team like Tulsa against a Michigan State defense. They still got not lucky. It was a great ball and a great catch. A deep ball for a touchdown. So stuff like that happens. Wisconsin, clean sheet on defense. This one's gonna be a little weird because who it is, but Rutgers. I don't know if you paid attention to that game, Austin. They were down 21-0 early, and then they dropped 31 points in the second quarter. Massachusetts scored 21 in the first, did not score again. Rutgers scored 7 points in the first and 31 in the second.
Wow. Maybe they're on the up and up. Who knows?
And then the last 2 teams, Maryland obviously dropping a 79 ball, and Illinois looked pretty consistent given it's Akron, but they got a good running back in Reggie Corbin. And, everybody knows their coach is Lovie Smith, so that's a team to look out for, I think. So we'll see. Obviously, week 1. Big Ten fared pretty well. Purdue, like Austin said, obviously, if you listen to this episode, did not win. And who else lost? Northwestern lost to Stanford, which isn't terribly shocking, but they kind of were a little disappointing after, you get a transfer like Hunter Johnson, former 5-star quarterback, and you only scored 7 points. So, next week,
they got work to do. They've got some work to do, in my opinion.
Okay. And next week, I'm guessing the game of the week. I guess there's a couple.
There's some showdowns. There are definitely some
Vandy,
showdowns.
Purdue and Iowa and Rutgers play to open up the Big Ten season.
We're talking Big Ten. I was thinking.
Oh no, I'm just talking
the other showdowns.
Big Ten real quick. Yeah, you can. Why don't you take us into those showdowns?
Well, I won't spend too much time on them. I don't want to take too long, but obviously I think the biggest matchups, the biggest one, LSU and Texas. That's number 6 versus number 10. Both teams looked very good in their debuts. LSU looked incredible on offense. And Sam Ehlinger looked really good at Texas. So is Texas back? Is LSU going to compete in the SEC? This is going to kind of be that benchmark game. I think it's going to be really good. Week 2, so you got all the crap mistakes out of the way. I'm looking forward to a really good football game. And I think on top of that, before that game, that's the primetime night game, I think Clemson and A&M play. So Clemson escaped A&M last year with the win. They beat Georgia Tech 52-14. Trevor Lawrence didn't look amazing. Again, week 1, you're not really concerned. But at the same time, Travis Etienne was like 13 carries for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, so you don't really have to be good when you're doing that. That'll be another really good game to tune into. So, outside of that, I really think the top 25 took care of business. Oregon got upset by number 16 Auburn. Iowa State, number 21, got taken in triple overtime against Northern Iowa. They probably should have lost that game, but they didn't. But everybody else took care of business. So we're off to week 2 in college football land.
Woo woo.
So, any final thoughts, John, before we head out?
No, hopefully better performance from your Boilermakers in my Michigan State offense. Come Saturday, another night game for Michigan State, which is cool for me because I work till 3 anyways, so it gives me some time to get home and relax, get ready for that game, and get ready to pull my hair out again.
Arizona State, right?
No, Western Michigan. So
Western Michigan, okay.
Should be another win. I'm pretty sure we'll stay in the negative for rushing yards total for the first 2 games. So I'm hoping to see how long we can keep that going for. But and then obviously you guys have Vandy, which I'm looking forward to watching that game. So while I'm at work, I'll have that up on my computer while I'm at work.
There you go. That's the kind of working man that I like to know.
Yeah, just hopefully my boss doesn't listen to this, but he's not much of a sports guy, so.
Oh, there you go. You're in the clear, man. You're in the clear. Awesome. Well, that's it for tonight. As always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.